Today on Inside the Game, controversy around Javier Mascherano from Inter Miami, an exclusive sit-down with Elliot Mark Leonard from RFX Recruiting, and the Mac Hermann watch list are both out for men and women. And we'll cover all that and more this morning on Inside the Game.
Welcome to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Good morning, and welcome back into Inside the Game here on this Friday morning. Jonathan Turner alongside Mr. Nathan Wangler, our producer Ryan Glinsky here in our studios in Shelby Township. Mr. Nathan Wangler on the west side of the state in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And good morning to you, Nathan.
What's up? What's going on? Welcome in.
Well, not much is going on here. We got a great show lined up for you here this morning. We will bring in what we'll be talking about here on your screen now. We'll first off, Cracker Barrel. We'll talk about that. You wonder why we're talking about Cracker Barrel on the air. If you haven't watched the news, then you're missing out. But we'll also talk about Javier Mascherano, the head coach of Inter Miami. Did he get suspended? Will he get suspended? We'll talk about that this morning. Elliot Leonard joins us this morning. Again, he the RFX Recruiting. Recruit Fluency is the actual brand. We'll dive into that and our new partnership with them. The Herman Mac watch list, men's and women's teams were announced here. Men's announced yesterday. Women's were announced last week. We'll get into that today, and then we'll have our question of the day to wrap up this morning's show. But let's dive into what the Cracker Barrel is all about here this morning. Why are we diving into this? Nathan, first off, have you ever been to a Cracker Barrel?
Once. I think years and years ago. But yeah, I believe one time, I think.
One time, he thinks.
One time.
Okay, so.
Yep.
I've been to Cracker Barrel. I would say more than once. I would say at least twice in my lifetime. But Cracker Barrel decided to have this genius idea to change their logo, which the logo is there on the left, the old logo. The new logo is on the right. And while I think the logo on the right still has somewhat of a feel of a barrel to it, maybe. It really leaves, I guess, you're up to your imagination about what that actually is. The Cracker Barrel, name is on that logo. I don't know why they changed it.
I think it's just corporate. I think that's what people have an issue with. It just doesn't. It's kind of like the way I think about it, JT, is you look at the old school college logos, like the sports logos, all of them are more thoughtful, more colorful, more unique, more vintage. Like anytime I get any sort of college apparel, I feel like I'm looking at the vintage apparel over like what it is now. Because every single logo there is, even in the NFL, I mean, go back and look back at all those old logos. They're all sick. They're all cool, but they've just gotten corporate over the years. And so I think that's what we're dealing with here with Cracker Barrel. But what their shares dropped like 10% or something like that. Like
12.
Which is 12%, which is wild to me. I thought only like geriatric folks ate at Cracker Barrel. Like what would they care? Like really? They changed their logo and that's enough for you to stop eating there? We got too much time on our hands in the United States. That's what I think we have. We like food, we like eating food, but like someone changes their logo, we're like, nah, I don't want to eat there anymore. But I do understand some of the basic frustrations. Like, yeah, you went from something that was vintage and unique and has been unchanged for years and years, and then you make it whatever that corporate thing is we're looking at on the right. So, yeah, it's, hearing their CEO talk about how exciting it was for them to switch up their logo and get something new. I'm like, okay, all right, I guess you changed a little bit, but I don't, yeah. I mean, I get the frustration, but also, why would you stop eating there? I mean, come on, guys.
Ryan, what are your thoughts on this whole thing? I'm curious.
You're curious. So I have a horrible experience with Cracker Barrel. I ate it one time in 2023, so like February of 2023. I was home from college, went down to Dayton, I believe. My sister had a soccer tournament. We came back. We stopped at a Cracker Barrel somewhere in Ohio. And then 30 minutes down the road, I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. And I was like, Dad, you've got to pull over. Like, we've got to get to a rest stop immediately. I was struggling, made it to the bathroom, and then we go down a couple more miles into Bowling Green. I go, Dad, something's not right. I feel horrible. Made it into a Starbucks bathroom. So, yeah, I absolutely hate Cracker Barrel. I'm glad that their shares are going down. I absolutely despise this place, and I'm glad that people are no longer eating there, but I hate it. I just hate it.
You heard it first here from Ryan Glinsky. He did not get food poisoning from Cracker Barrel because it doesn't happen that fast.
You're too young to be eating at a Cracker Barrel, Ryan.
The alcohol he drank before. He didn't say he was drinking and had a bender the night before. That's what led up to the Cracker Barrel breakfast.
No, that was that horrible experience. I will never eat there again. And like the thing that sucks is like everyone at the place was so nice. Like it was a great experience, like actually eating there. And then the food was good. Don't get me wrong, the food was really good. But the aftermath, no, I hate it. Yeah. I hate that place.
Let's go straight through it.
He hates that place. Well, if you're just, I think it's fun. It's funny, right? But it's how we associate like moments in time, right? I remember very vividly, and I'm sure you have the same kind of vision, right, Nathan? Is that I remember eating a Twix candy bar, and then a short time later, I was not feeling good, and I ended up, throwing up, and I have yet to eat a Twix ever since then. And I know for a fact it was not the Twix. It was not the Twix.
What's that restaurant you grew up by?
Huh?
You literally grew up right by it. Popular restaurant, Metro Detroit. Little small business, family-owned restaurant. Come on, man. You literally grew up right by it.
Alibi?
Was it Alibi? No, I think it was a different one.
Ticonderoga?
Thank you. That place,
but that's not family owned. That's owned by it's 4 or 5 different restaurant groups.
Really? Yeah, okay. All right, a little chain. All right. Well, yeah, Camp Thai, never again. Same thing, and it's just flowing out of both ends. So not gonna happen. Y'all enjoy your Camp Thai. I am never gonna touch that establishment again in my life. Period. Not gonna happen. My fish tastes like dish soap, and I'm still wondering to this day why that was.
Oh, hey, it was sold as
that's the new recipe. Actually, they sprinkle dish soap
right
in
out
the
water.
Yeah,
in Troy,
exactly.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, here's what's coming up next here. We're going to talk about this Inter Miami coach Javier Mascherano, whether or not he was suspended or not, and whether he'll get suspended. We'll talk about that, and then coming up after that, we will have our guest Elliot Mark Leonard from RFX will join us here in our second segment. We are watching Inside the Game number 143 here on the National Soccer Network.
Flint City Bucks are Michigan's top soccer franchise with 4 national championships, 9 conference titles, and 15 Great Lakes Division titles. They have produced 107 players for Major League Soccer, and they focus on attracting top talent and shaping soccer's future. Michigan Bucks Academy joins NLS Next new competition tier starting in September of 2025. This offers elevated levels of play and flexibility for high school participation. The Academy will provide premier development, high-performance training, and exposure to scouts through regional tournaments and MLS Next events. For more information on tryouts, training programs, and key updates as we prepare for our first season in MLS Next new tier, visit
Welcome back here into our Inside the Game, episode number 143. Jonathan Turner alongside Nathan Wangler and Ryan Glinsky, our producer here in studio today. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll be joined by Elliot Mark Leonard from RFX. We'll discuss our new partnership and what they're doing over there, the great things they're doing right now in the world of recruitment. Before we dive into that, though, Inter Miami coach Javier Mascherano, will he be suspended? Based on all accounts, the answer is no. And here's why. Taylor Twellman got into this yesterday on Twitter. I think we even talked about it a little bit, maybe during the show. But the ruling from League Cup said that Inter Miami head coach was located in a space designated according to tournament regulations. Cell phone communications are not prohibited per League Cup regulations in this instance. The part that I am struggling with here, this is for both of you, and we're going to ask maybe Elliot Mark when he hops on as well, is I was under the understanding and the impression that while you can use technology on the sidelines, but there is no communication that could take place electronically through cell phones while you're on the sideline. So even though Mascherano is not being suspended, his assistant coach probably should be. He received a phone call on the sidelines. So this is the part that I don't understand. And if we look at the actual rule, which is on the page there as well, it says using unauthorized electronic or communication equipment and or behaving in an inappropriate manner as a result of using electronic or communication equipment is a 1 to 3 match suspension. And so I'm trying to understand this. And this is as a former referee, we're not allowed to use cell phones on the pitch. I know the rules have changed, but I can't even imagine. First off, in the NFL, you can't even have a cell phone like in your locker room. I don't think. I think they've eliminated. You can't be on your cell phone 90 minutes before a game. You can't even have it in your possession. And here we have coaches making, phoning a friend like, who wants to be a millionaire from the stands down the sideline.
Right.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, and you hear Taylor Twellman said, to quote him specifically, he said, "Tell me one time that you've seen that," to Jake Zivin, who was doing the game with him at the time. He goes, "How is that any different than being on the bench? How was that any different than being on the sidelines and communicating with anybody directly? I mean, you call him on a cell phone. Not only that, but realistically, he was within earshot of the players. I know it's a little bit different shouting from the stands than it is shouting directly from the sidelines, but someone needs to detail to me how that is any different than literally being right there on the sidelines if you're talking to your assistant on the cell phone the entire time. You're still barking out directions. I think of this from other sports perspectives. Like if you get tossed out of a baseball game as a manager, like you go back in the clubhouse, like you don't have communications with the team on the field. I honestly can't remember the last time I've seen a coach get thrown out of a football game before, an American football game. But there are other examples of other sports where you go back in the clubhouse and that's it. You can sit there and watch, you can stew, you can walk around in circles, but there's no world in which you can just go up in the stands, call your assistant, and still be able to make decisions from that perspective. You're still coaching. Now, I understand getting them out of the area, getting them off the sidelines, because that's where the problems arise, right? When you assist, you give someone a red card, it's because, of how much grief they're giving you from the sidelines. I had seen that covering USL 2 games. But in no world, in my mind, is that any different than being on the sidelines. So, I think the bigger question here is the MLS bending to their golden child, Inter Miami, and willing to, bend the rules a little bit because, it's Inter Miami. We'll let them get away with what they want to get away with because, again, that's the golden child. They're the team in the MLS. We can't have them slipping. So, you put the rule right on the screen right there. It seems cut and dry to me, and that's exactly what we were watching yesterday. So I don't, to me, it just doesn't add up. None of that adds up.
Ryan, what are your thoughts on this, man? Former soccer player like myself, you've been around the game. You've watched college soccer, professional soccer. I'm curious your thoughts on this whole fiasco in Miami.
I've never seen it happen before. I've generally haven't seen it before. I made a TikTok on yesterday, and the chat was pretty active with it, and they gave their thoughts. And a lot of them are kind of aligning with Nate because it being Inter Miami. But should I read a couple of comments after I give my take here?
Yeah, for sure.
So I just think that if it's in the rule, it should be suspended. And do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. And there's a couple people in the chat, Redmond on TikTok. So make sure you follow National Soccer Network on TikTok because we're posting amazing videos every single day. And I posted this one, and this user 219 said 0 because Inter Miami are so privileged. Lionel.B said none because Messi plays at Inter Miami. If you get kicked out of the game, you cannot communicate with the coach in charge, but they're Miami, so nothing will happen. Pittsburgh fan says none because this isn't illegal. And where's the other one? David Fernandez says, so if it wasn't visible and doing the same thing, you'd never know. I'm sure it probably happens more often than you think. So the chat is all over the place, so make sure you're following in, and maybe we can read your comments on a TikTok in the future. But I think some of them bring up some good points.
You know, it's interesting. It happens more often than you think. Every one
Such
of
an
these games
assumption.
is filmed by Apple TV for the most part, and there are like 30 cameras in these stadiums. You're telling me a
Right.
coach is getting booted, going up into the stands, and has their phone and is animated as this as
No one
Marciano
catches
was?
them?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, I'm sorry. Not that I want to go on like the ESPN Monday Night Football, like, come on, man, thing that they used to do, but like, come on, you know, it's like,
No, yeah.
it's like you gotta be shitting me. I'm sorry, guys, but there is no way on God's green earth that this has been going on for some time. This is, I mean, now this is like Inflategate in the phone. We're gonna call this PhoneGate. You know, like everyone's got a phone. I mean, come on. This is the part that drives me nuts. Is that first off, he shouldn't even be allowed to be in the bleachers. I don't even know why that's a thing. He should go back into the locker room. He should be out of sight, out of mind, because this guy lost the ability to be there. Okay? In any other game in America, whether that be youth, high school, college, if a coach is ejected, they leave the facility. They are escorted out of the area. In football, if a player is tossed out for a bad tackle, unsportsmanlike conduct, targeting, whatever, they go back to the locker room. You don't see them in the stands. You know what I mean? Because in football, you would find a camera. A camera would find that player. You know what I mean? No, they're back in the locker room. They're sitting there, whatever they're doing, But the fact that we can even allow a coach to come out of the locker room and be in the game environment makes zero sense to me. And so that needs to be changed immediately. And then the fact that you could even use a cell phone to communicate with your coach, where that's even legitimately, even remotely close to being illegal, is insanity to me. You were tossed out of the. This isn't like you had the flu or COVID-19. It's like you got tossed out of the game. To be fair, 3 games doesn't seem like enough for me. I feel like this is like a 10-game suspension. Tell me I'm off my rocker because it makes no sense.
I'd say at least 3 games, but I guess it makes sense why Miami would have the level of entitlement that they do. I mean, we can just be honest with ourselves about that. I mean, they are the golden child. They're exactly what the MLS wants to show to the world, and so therefore they're willing to bend to that product. And I mean, we see it in different sports. I've seen it up close and personal with, I think about an organization like the Dodgers. Now, no offense to all the good people I know within that organization, but there's a certain reputation whenever they show up. The boys from LA, they carry themselves a different way. And I don't mean in like a professional way. They walk into a place and act like they own it because they're like, you don't get it. We play for the Dodgers or we play for a Dodgers affiliate. Like we're LA, we do things differently. It's like everyone knows they're coming because they're going to try and bend the rules. They're going to try and get preferential treatment. They're going to try and do things that normally other teams don't do because, hey, we're LA. It's the brand. It's something that it drives people absolutely insane. And anytime some nonsense happens, we just go, oh, that's the Dodgers. That's just how they conduct themselves. I guess you could look at this the same way with Inter Miami and how they have been the focal point in the MLS because they have the best player of all time. They are the media golden child of the MLS. They can do no wrong. They can say no wrong. They are the story that's keeping that league relevant. And like we've talked about, if Messi was out of it or if they weren't obviously winning games the way that they are, this wouldn't be the same story. I mean, if this was the head coach of the Colorado Rapids or the Vancouver Whitecaps or whoever else in the MLS, you can bet your bottom dollar there would be some sort of disciplinary action and a suspension. And I don't even think that's a conspiracy. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've seen this before in other sports where the problem child, even if they're a problem child, if they're winning and if they're making the league more money, then, we're willing to, again, just kind of relax some of those rules in order to give them a leg up. I do think there is some weight to people who are saying that.
No, I couldn't agree with you more, Nathan. But hey, coming up next here, we have a special guest joining us here virtually. Elliot Leonard joins the show to discuss RFX. Again, this is an unbelievable organization that is out there to help the recruitment of athletes who are looking to go on to the next level, play college soccer here in the United States. We're going to step aside. We'll be back here joined by Elliot on the other side of the break.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind. Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics, letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail. Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play, NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate. Call 586-304-4405 and start watching today.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game on this Friday morning. Before we bring Elliot in, yesterday we received our first ever gear haul as we've been reaching out to clubs all across the United States, whether you be a youth club, a professional club, it does not matter. And Decatur FC was the first one to answer the call, per se, literally. As we, I got this nice sky blue is what I think my wife said the color is. Decatur FC hoodie. We filled up a scarf on our wall. We made a video that was on TikTok as well as on Instagram. So if you're watching this or watching anything that we do, we would love to be able to showcase your club, showcase your team or school here on our platform, and doing so just like we did yesterday. I do say we did get a comment yesterday, Ryan, I thought was an interesting one. The comment was in regards to flattery, and it was said, I don't remember the exact thing from Instagram, but it was very interesting. It almost, I think it was very, very, what's sort of here? It was a subtle way of saying that maybe we're copying John Gruden.
Flattery will get
it's an exact copy of John Gruden.
Flattery
It's an
will
exact
get you
copy of John
respectfully,
Gruden.
So, I thought that it was a
We
good
just need you to come up with a signature tagline.
little sarcasm coming from the peanut gallery yesterday. But here we're gonna be joined now by Elliot Leonard to discuss RFX. And Elliot, man, first off, welcome into our show.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been listening for the last couple of minutes. It's been entertaining, to say the least.
Well, we try to be entertaining as much as we possibly can, but here first and foremost, we have not formally announced our partnership, but I think this would be a great chance to do that. So we have formed a partnership with RFX in regards to helping, again, share what it is that they do and how great that they've been able to, in such a short time, be able to really answer this call of being what I would consider to be, as I push this off the screen, apologize. But as we talk about this partnership and how we're going to talk about transforming the college recruitment process, it's one that with the transfer portal and with how things have happened over the last 10 years in college athletics, this is something that's much needed in the space. And I'll obviously have you do, your job of explaining really what it is that RFX is all about and how you're meeting the demands of these student athletes.
Yeah, so really simply, over the last 15, 20 years, the college recruitment niche has really been overtaken by monopolies, right? We have NCSA, Be Recruited, who are all owned by IMG and their affiliates. So there's really just been this one massive over-entitled company that has not done anything to 15 years, except for buy up little competitors of themselves, so that they could still reign in as the largest and most used college recruitment agency out there. That pisses me off when it gets to a point where there is no reason to better themselves and help the actual customer that they're servicing. That's where my frustration came from, and that's the reason that we built RFX. And in today's college recruitment landscape, everything should be automated. Everything should be simplified. Everything should be really simple for the end user. And that's what we've done. We've created an automation and intelligence platform that helps college recruitment move forward without parents having to be pulling their hair out, spending a ton of time, not understanding where their kid and what level they should be at. So all these different hurdles and roadblocks that we run into in the college recruitment process have really been fixed and, done differently than the typical NCSA type of, landscape that's been out there currently. So we're looking forward to this opportunity with National Soccer Network because not only do we have the opportunity to create a massive and impactful company for college recruitment, but we also do for name, image, and likeness. And I think that's, one of the next steps that is going to really help student athletes, especially those student athletes that need, a bit more financial assistance through school. They could really lay into the name, image, and likeness and have a real nice piece of money to put towards college. It's really cool.
No, it really is cool. The question I have for you here, I think, is the next one is what makes you different, right? I think that when you start talking about this process, right, and I would imagine that a lot of clubs deal with this, obviously, from the standpoint of a player that wants to go to the next level. All right, they're usually probably the first place that these players probably turn to. And then once they've turned there, maybe not have the answer they're looking for, don't have that support, then they're going to go out somewhere else and they're going to try to find that on their own. And so I think it's important to maybe have an understanding of what makes you different compared to everybody else. And then more importantly, how do these players interact with your organization in order to get to where they want to go?
Yeah, it's a great question. So what's different about us? Besides what I just mentioned as far as automation, we've actually taken the recruitment process from a different perspective, which is most student athletes do not have a good understanding of what level they should be playing at. We're in a pay-to-play system, so oftentimes that communication between the club director, the parents, the student athlete, they just don't understand what levels they should be targeting. What RFX does is we send these correspondents out to college coaches, and college coaches are the ones who are actually responding, whether they're interested or not interested in the student athlete. So instead of creating a list of 50 schools that you and your son or daughter are going to start going through over the next 6 months to a year, not knowing whether they're interested or not in your kid, we have gone ahead and we've automated the outreach process and then automated the interest process, meaning we know that these schools are now interested in these athletes, in my kid. So I can now have a good conversation with Lehigh, with Bucknell, with Lafayette, because I know there's interest on my behalf. Does that make sense as we spell this out here on camera?
No, I think it does.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think, and I know Nathan, you have a question that you want to get in as well. When we talk about recruitment, it is, especially in today's world, we talk to college coaches all the time, and they're like, "Hey, I'm not really." To be fair, I mean, we have to obviously recruit players, but we're not necessarily looking for freshmen. We're looking for sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And so the player pool is much different. And so how do you stand out? How do you get yourself into that situation where you could be the one that stands out? Also be top of mind in the email box. And the thing that separates you is that the coach doesn't have to go anywhere, right? They're at their computer, they get an email, it's all there, right? And compared to a lot of other sites, you have to go someplace, click through, you got to pay for a membership and all this other stuff, some things that are very prohibitive of maybe growth and access. You guys have cut that right out of the mix and said, hey, it's just going to come to you. Here you go.
Yeah. As a former college coach at the Division I level, I knew exactly what we were looking for when an email would come in, when a conversation would start, right? And what was that? So for a college coach, we need to go through this quickly and efficiently and effectively. So we need to be able to see a highlight video first and foremost, right? Highlight video with key pieces of information on the highlight video. And that's another place where we differentiate ourselves, right? We're giving coaches a snapshot so that they can make a really quick decision on whether or not they're going to move forward and invest time and allocate time and money into seeing this player in person. The first step is always going to be the highlight video. We're adding some more information. We're adding some efficiency and effectiveness to that video for the student athlete and the parent, so that coach can then really quickly make a good assessment of whether or not they want to spend more time down the road looking into this athlete, right? And the reason why that's so important is because, one, you've mentioned there's so much competition today, right? Internationals are a massive part of the landscape that we're currently in with college recruitment. There's no number of players that a coach can't recruit from overseas. And then the transfer portal is also massively important. So to answer your questions a bit more specifically, we want to make sure we're getting out early and often to college coaches. I'd say starting in the 9th grade, especially male and female athletes even more so, getting in front of the right college coaches at the right time, and providing them with the best introduction, video introduction that they could possibly provide, so that a college coach is really interested on who you are, what you are, and how you're going to go about this process, and how you're going to impact them and their program in the next 4 years.
And I think it's interesting since, you are a former coach, you kind of understand how the landscape has changed. And that's something that we've had multiple conversations about on this podcast. And I think it's interesting because something that was adopted by the NCAA in the transfer portal really originally could have been looked at as an opportunity for a lot of student athletes to maybe move up or move to somewhere that's better, or maybe you go from a D2, D3 to a D1. There was a lot of good intentions behind that. But now you look at it, and you also look at rosters obviously being constricted in the NCAA now, it might actually take away opportunities, not just from transfers, but also from recruits at the same exact time, because people get bogged down because of that change. And obviously now it's so saturated that people are going to start losing out on opportunities. Are you finding that that's impacting your business in terms of maybe placing athletes at the level that you think they deserve to be at? As in, maybe they're playing at a lower level because of that. There's just not many opportunities out there. What does that look like?
It's a really phenomenal question, the way you worded it. This is how I can respond. I do not believe that it's impacting my business in a negative way, nor is it impacting families and student athletes' lives in a negative way. It's impacting it, and it's creating a different road or different, opportunity in a different lane that you need to be open to, right? So we used to have, and we still do have, a lot of student athletes that are playing at the MLS next level, the ECNL level on the female side, right? Top players that have an expectation that they're going to play Division One. The way we always say it at RFX is expectations are premeditated resentments, right? So if we have this one understanding that we're only going to go here and we don't make it and that doesn't come to fruition, we're going to be frustrated. Student athletes and parents need to have an open mind, especially in today's environment of college recruitment, of what their son or daughter's actual next 4 or 5 years are going to look like, right? It's not going to be, I'm going to North Carolina and I'm going to impact that program from day one. Most likely, freshmen, even at a high level, might have to go and take a 5th year, just like 20 years ago, the NBA did. All the stars coming out of high school would take a 5th year right before college so that they could get bigger, stronger, faster. And that's what a lot of the student athletes are going to have to do today. So I hope I answered your question. And if I didn't, fill me in a little bit more. But that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that more people need to be more open-minded about the trajectory of what their son or daughter's next 4 to 5 years are going to look like.
You think the D1 or bust mentality for some athletes can be harmful? You were talking about setting up expectations. Yeah,
it's the worst. It's the worst thing in the world, and it's really difficult to have conversations with parents and student athletes and run a business. And it's one of the main core reasons that I stopped working individually one-on-one with parents, because it was an uphill battle. And it's not the parents' fault, right? It's the information that they've been giving over such a long period of time, telling them that their kid is the best and is going to thrive in this situation. So that's what they've been told. And now it's very difficult for them to get out of that mindset. So breaking that mindset is basically impossible.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Yeah, I've always thought, I think there's situations for everybody out there. I think it's fit. I think that's the thing that matters the most. I've seen great players at Division II. I've seen great players at NAI levels. I mean, you're going to get opportunities if you're able to go out and produce on the field. So, no, 100%. I just think that's kind of where it is, at least for some of these young kids. It's D1 or bust. And if you're not in Division I, well, you're not much. I don't agree with that. And obviously, with the way the landscape is now, if you can find a place where you're playing consistently, go take that opportunity. It really doesn't matter where it is, in my opinion.
I think you said it perfectly. Because then it just leads to more opportunity down the line. If you're not in it, you can't win it, right? So you got to place yourself in there. Really well said.
Obviously, we're here on Inside the Game, episode 143, continuing our conversation with Elliot Leonard here from RFX Recruiting. And Elliot, my next question is this. First off, how do people find RFX, right? If I'm an athlete, how do I find out about you, and what does it all entail?
Yeah, so you go to gorfx.app online. You could find us on all the social medias at Recruit Fluency. So RFX is powered by Recruit Fluency, which is just the major brand that we have. So not to get confused, just to make it pretty simple for you, our app is called RFX Soccer, and you could find that in the Apple and the Google Play Store online. What we're going to do when you download our app is we're going to make it super simple. It's going to take you 10 minutes to fill out your profile. And then we're going to ask you whether or not you want to upload a highlight video. And at that time, would you like us to start sending your contact information and profiles out to college coaches? Once you've done that, in the next 24 hours, we're going to start matching you with the best schools that are perfect for you on the athletic side, the academic side, based on what is the information you input into your profile. And then you'll start hearing back from college coaches whether they're interested within 24 to 48 hours. It's been the complete opposite of what you should expect from a college recruitment agency. And that's what's been really awesome to see, is the impact of these communications and these conversations so early in the process, which is unlike anything else out there.
If we look at, the recruitment process as a whole, and your competition, which there's a lot of competition out there in this space, Would you consider yourself the most expensive? Would you consider yourself on the lower side? Where would you put yourself? And because obviously money is always an important conversation about this, right? These kids are juniors, sophomores, seniors. They're thinking about applying to college. That costs money. So where does RFX fit into all that?
Yeah. So for 1 year, it's going to cost you $499. That $499 is probably going to be one of the best ways you've ever spent that money, whether you're spending $300 on a pair of new cleats, you're spending $300 on jerseys and things like this. Spend it where your son or daughter is going to get maximum exposure from an early age so that they could get on the radars of college coaches. Once they're on the radar and they continue to have visibility from our platform, it's a game changer. Now coaches can very easily decide whether or not it's worth having a conversation with your kid. And even if it's not, that is so impactful and important from a financial point of view, because you've just saved so much time knowing that maybe your kid's not the best fitted dude. So that's our annual. And then we have a monthly, which is $79 a month. The fact that we've had so much response from college coaches so early on, what I would say is get your highlight video from the National Soccer Network. They do an incredible job to have their highlight videos. That's one of the main reasons we've partnered together. Fill out your profile, spend $79 for month one, and see how much traction you get, because I can guarantee you from a personal parent perspective, you will have a really good understanding of where your kid is with just 1 month of RFX Soccer.
No, it's really cool because so our highlight video programs here at NSN, we normally charge $249 for that one video, right? 3 to 5 minutes, 15 to 20 clips. With our partnership with Elliott and RFX, that's $199 on their app. And so, you'll save money by actually going into their app and getting the recruitment process started, because you're only making these videos anyways if you're getting recruited. Okay, so, you're not going to go through the process of making these videos unless you're just really, you want to have a cool sick highlight video, I guess. It's not going to get you into college, but that's cool too.
I mean, I think one of the most important aspects of the college recruitment process is to get your highlight video done professionally. There's no doubt, right? So we can think we understand as a parent, as a player, what should be on there, which is, oh, this looks great. This was a great goal. Well, how much time did you have on the ball before that goal was scored? Did you have 5 seconds? Because if you did, that's probably not a clip that we want in there, because it's just showing that defensively, the team you're playing against is not at a high level, right? So there's these small nuances that parents need to understand of why we actually go and get something done professionally. And I think NSN is definitely the place to get the highlight video done. It will give you a massively impactful lead up on the competition.
And my last question is this: we've been talking about this, and you're in this world, so it's good to pick your brain a little bit about this. But how important is it for coaches to hear from a player? Because I in this process, I feel like that's a part that's missed. Where you see this athlete, they can score goals, but to be fair, how they perform on a field is extremely important. But how are they communicating? I mean, how are they going to handle themselves? Are those things that matter from the perspective of a coach? Where, hey, I had this highlight video, and maybe I can hear the player talk for a few moments. Is that a valuable thing that we're missing in this highlight world, or is it don't care, just want the 2-minute video and let's move on?
It's exceptionally valuable later down the road. The first thing that parents need to understand is that coaches have one job, which is to win, right? So is it important that a student athlete is going to communicate properly, that is going to look into the camera, is going to do certain things? 100%. But the first thing a college coach is going to look at is going to be their level and whether or not that student athlete is going to be an asset to their program in the future. Once they have established that, these secondary or these these other ways of looking at the college recruitment process from a student athlete's perspective, things that are not easily measured, right? Like some of the things you just mentioned, they're going to be really impactful in the highlight video, but it's just going to be impactful later on down the road, if that makes sense. If you have two athletes that are great athletically, academically, and the tiebreaker, there's got to be something. We're going to look at, well, are they respectful? Are they good in front of the camera? Are they going to represent my program exceptionally well?
No, that's a great answer. It's always curious. I'm always curious to learn kind of like what people think or what coaches' thought processes are when it comes to all this. And obviously what you're doing with RFX is fantastic. We're extremely excited about this new partnership, and we appreciate you stopping on by here this morning and being a part of what we were talking about here today. So, Elliot, thank you very much for joining us. We'll hope to have you on here. We actually, as part of this partnership, we are going to be highlighting players from RFX on our network. And so with that opportunity in our games, in this program, we'll be able to showcase players and give them an opportunity to get that exposure that gives them just the opportunity to give themselves one step ahead of everybody else. So we're excited about that opportunity as well, and we're excited about this partnership.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It's a pleasure.
No, thank you very much. And we're sure to have you back
Appreciate
on
your
here
time.
in the future.
Yeah.
But good luck to
Take
you.
care. All right.
So Nathan, man, it's a cool partnership.
I love his mentality around getting away from D1 or bust. You know, with being in a pay-to-play system in the United States, this is kind of inherently the issue. Is you exist in an atmosphere where, again, if the price is right, people are going to tell you that you're good enough to play at the highest level. People are going to tell you that you're good enough to go to this place or that place, and no one's going to tell you any different. And again, it comes down to how much access to resources do you have? How much can you give me? You know, what have you done for me lately? That seems like the kind of the environment that we're in. And I've seen that play its way out in different sports as well. You know, you just have people who have more access to more resources, which means they're told that they're far better than what they actually are. And I forget what his line is. Expectations are pre-built-in disappointments, or there you go, premeditated for resentment. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. We're building up these dreams in these kids' heads that you are going to be here, you're going to be in this league, you're going to be, which I'm all for chasing that. I'm not telling anybody not to chase that, but to provide a platform in which student athletes can, for a price, be able to place themselves in an environment where they can play every single day, regardless of whether or not that's in the ACC or if it's in the Crossroads League in the NAI. It really doesn't matter to me. What matters is that you're on the field. What matters is that you're getting minutes and you're giving yourself an opportunity to prove yourself. And then if you want to utilize those other things that we have built into the college experience, like a transfer portal or something else, we know that accessibility and the ability to go side to side is far easier in college athletics now than it ever has been. So allowing these athletes the opportunity to have a platform, to find a coach, to find a situation that fits them. And then if you want to switch it up past then, well, then fine, that's on you. But I understand that parents want the best for their kids. I understand these athletes want to go to the highest level. But to have that platform to where you can find the spot that fits you, and then again, if you're on the field, if you're producing, well, then we can talk about going other places. But getting away from that D1 or bust mentality, I think, is the most important thing for these student athletes, because I don't understand it. There's good players at all levels, and there's no reason why that should tear away at your confidence if you have to go to Division II or III or whatever it is. We've seen success stories come out of every single level of soccer here in the United States. So I think that's the coolest part about what they offer as a company.
No doubt. No doubt. We are going to come back up here and talk Mac Hermann watch list. Both men's and women's were announced here. Men's were yesterday, women's were last week. We'll dive into that, and we'll do the question of the day on the other side of this break. You're watching episode 143 of Inside the Game.
Are you ready to create unforgettable moments for your audience? NSN offers professional live streaming and full broadcast services tailored to your needs. From high-quality production to exceptional coverage, we ensure your game or event becomes a spectacle to remember. Book your next game with us today. Call 586-304-4405 to schedule your broadcast and let NSN bring the action to life like never before.
Welcome back here into Inside the Game here on this Friday morning weekend, right around the corner. And Nathan, we just got done talking about recruiting, and what better way to segue into, from recruiting into college soccer, talking about the best players in the country.
It's a perfect transition.
So, Ryan, first off, I want to bring you in because I know we just finished this whole thing up with recruiting. We're going to segue into this, the Mac Hermann watch list, which were announced here the last couple of days. Did you have aspirations of playing college soccer?
Yeah, I did at some point. Just never really I went on one visit, but it's not really what I wanted to do in terms of the school, and they didn't have a broadcasting program and then as I got into my Central Michigan career, I realized that I'm kind of happy not playing college soccer just because I had a real big passion for broadcasting, and I did play a little bit of club soccer at Central Michigan, so played Michigan State.
Fire up.
Fire up, absolutely. All those different ones. But, yeah, absolutely. I do like the platform that they're bringing because it is so difficult to, for some people to kind of get their name out there. You kind of have to, unless you're for instance, just thinking of it here local, like if you're a number 1 overall recruit like Belleville had in Underwood, last year, like that creates your own buzz just, being that type of an athlete. But, soccer, you don't get that publicity right away. And you kind of had to create your own buzz, and I think they're doing a great job over there.
Do you know that you still know the CMU fight song, Ryan?
Do I know the CMU fight song?
Yeah, do you know the fight song? I just sang IU's the other day.
CMU, though?
Yeah, I had to hear it to be honest, I probably don't know the word for word because I was because whenever I would hear it, because when I would hear it, I was always the PA announcer, and I was always when I would have the fight song, I was always looking at what was the next thing to read, like whether it was going into like the end read or having to read something else. So I never actually really paid attention to it. I just know forward, central, down the field. That's all I remember.
Fight for victory. Fight forward, never yield.
Jeez,
you know the woo part,
song?
right?
He knows.
Yeah, they know
Woo, woo.
Like they're cowboys. Or
Yeah,
something
we all
like
know that song.
The Chippewas acting like cowboys.
And it is onward with banners bold.
Real quick. Have you ever been to the His House?
His house.
What the hell
fraternity
are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
They serve hot dogs?
Yeah.
They still do that?
The Jesus Dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
I live behind him. I live behind that house. Well, a little bit and to the right. I lived on Washington Street for 2 years. Probably the worst house you could live in, but man, was that house awesome to live in. But yes, they do have the Jesus Dogs. I remember walking down the streets, and I was like, man, I could go for a hot dog, and they're just out there.
They're
handing them out there, and then even in the tailgates, they're handing them, and I was like, man, this is just awesome.
Yeah,
like,
free hot dogs
yeah.
right there.
Sounds suggestive.
Called the His House is what it was called.
Yeah.
Sounds very suggestive.
Huh?
Sounds very suggestive.
Oh, Jesus Dogs?
No, His House.
Oh.
We won't get into that. That's
no,
fine.
Not today. But hey, let's dive into the Mac Hermann watch list.
I don't know if I want to be around there.
We'll start with the women's side. But hey, first, the Hermann Trophy is presented annually by the Missouri Athletic Club. It's the most prestigious individual honor in college soccer, recognizing the National Player of the Year. Voting is conducted by the Division I head coaches who are members of the United Soccer Coaches. And on your screen now are, in fact, the women Hermann Trophy watch list. You've got your goalkeepers, Olivia Bodmer, Jordan Knights, and Kennedy Justin. We're not going to go through all the players, but we remember a player this summer named Seven Castaigne, who plays at TCU. And I know looking at this list, there's a number of players that maybe stand out for you as well, Nathan. But Seven Castaigne, again, scoring the most goals this past season in the USLW. Her team did win a national championship.
Well, and you also have another name on that list in junior forward Bella Diorio, too. So you got a little friendly competition on the same team between two different players who could certainly 1,000% be in the mix to take that honor home. I do think it is cool to see some MSU names on there, at least one. and Belen Najera Jr., who was really good a season ago for the Spartans. You also got Matty Illig, I believe, or Illig, I'm not sure, out of Missouri, one of the defenders on that list out of MSU. We talk about programs out of the Big Ten who are really making moves. I think that's one team that maybe we didn't talk about the other day, but that is a squad that is also could make a lot of noise. We've seen, at one point last year, they were number one in the country, I believe, in women's soccer. So they got a few different players, but I always love a little friendly competition. I think so long as it pushes the two players in the right direction, then you're going to get exactly what you want as a head coach, which is two players that are producing at a high level. And we talked about Bella DiOrio as well as Seven Castaigne for TCU. Both are just world beaters. So it'll be interested to see, who has not the better season, but who maybe cements themselves as a front runner for this award, because I think both of them have a really realistic chance at taking this home at the end of the day. So, yeah, a lot of good names on there. Cool to see a couple of different MSU names that are populating that list. And we'll have to see. But, you actually have three different players from TCU. What am I talking about? You also have Katana Norman, the senior for TCU. So you got three different names from Texas Christian. So it's a team full. Whenever you have a handful of players who are named to the Mac Herman watch list, you got a squad on your hands. So not only do I think they could take the conference, but I think they might have someone take home an individual award when it's all said and done.
No, absolutely. The men's side was announced yesterday in Kansas City. Again, this is presented by the Missouri Athletic Club and the Mac Herman, right? And you've got a number of players. One that's surprising me here that we didn't see was Donovan Phillip, but you do have Paul Maralt here from Indiana. He made his way onto the list. Last year, Ohio State's Michael Adedokun won the Mac Herman Award on the men's side. And it was Kate, I think, Fasha, who won it on the women's side. But again, Paul Maralt from Indiana, who had a great year last year, is in the running here as a forward. Looking across this, again, looking at the players, you've got Cooper Flax from Wake Forest. I know we talked about him when we talked about Wake Forest here in the last couple of weeks in regards to the ACC. And so I'm curious your thoughts about players on this list as well, Nathan.
Well, I love Paul Maralt. I talked about that yesterday, him coming back. He could have gone pro, decided to return to Indiana, try to bring that team to what would be their 9th national championship. I do also find it interesting, you mentioned it, that Donovan Phillip isn't on this list. I think if you're talking about at least players that, in my mind, that are top of mind in the Division I level coming into the season, he would be 1,000% would be on that list. Now, maybe it's because the team he's around doesn't generate as much buzz in NC State. We know they were picked to kind of finish middle of the pack in the ACC. So who knows what that looks like in terms of the team dynamic. But I also do think, maybe there's room for a player who wasn't necessarily on the watch list, but ends up having a great season and goes on and wins the award anyway. It's like the Heisman of college soccer. So it's not to say that just because you're not on the list doesn't mean you can't be when it's all said and done. This is kind of like preseason rankings. A lot of this is based off of what they've done already, but I don't know how much they factor in what they've done in the amateur scene outside of the college scene. It's probably built on what they've seen in college. So who's to say Donovan Phillip didn't find his stride with Flint City this summer, and now he goes out and dominates in the college ranks and ends up getting himself squarely onto this list? I do think there is room for something like that to happen for a player like that. And again, it makes it easier for us to say that because we've seen him in person. We know he brings what he brings to the table. So I'll be interested to see if he does eventually get a look. But, like I said, I like Paul Maralt as ranting and raving about him yesterday in those 54 career points at Indiana. And I'm always a fan of kids who end up bypassing the pro career to try and make it work one last time for the college. So I think he's on there, but who knows? Maybe Donovan Phillip can find his way onto the list here at some point.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm assuming that what we're going to see from on this watch list is we'll see some players, just like in the Heisman Trophy, right? You're going to see players bounce in and out. This list will actually get smaller throughout the course of the season. This is just, hey, look, what does this look like based off of last year and what we think projected will happen this year? Hey, we're not going to take a break. We're going to stay right here for the question of the day, presented by Salt Athletic. And Ryan, we'll have you take over from here.
Yeah, I thought we were going right to commercial. But anyway, before we get into question of the day, remember that this segment is sponsored by Salt. They're an official sponsor of NSN. Make sure to use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. Make sure you can scan that QR code or visit saltathletic.com today. But, of course, we have to get the music for question of the day.
Yeah.
Question of the day: should Javier Mascherano got suspended for using his cell phone? Been waiting all show for that.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. And Nathan, you can go ahead and start, my guy.
Yeah, he should. He absolutely should. Again, I don't know why. What is this gray area in the rules that all of a sudden we discovered a couple of days ago just because he decided to take some liberties and not actually leave and still be very much in the stands and very much barking out directions? I mean, what's the point of handing out a red card if the either the player or the coach doesn't actually leave the sidelines and go back into the clubhouse? Like, to me, we're just spinning our wheels at this point. We're not actually deciding anything. So again, it's not even really a grand conspiracy, in my personal opinion, what I said earlier. I think everybody understands what this is. We've seen it in different sports. We've seen it in different environments. Listen, if you're the golden child, you're gonna get a leg up in certain areas. So I don't know if they're just bending to Miami or what the deal is, but listen, man, he broke the rules. I mean, I don't understand what the loophole is that everyone's talking about that he didn't do. Now, you had suggested, you don't think 3 games is enough. You would maybe even bump that up to 10 games. I don't know if I necessarily agree with all that. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I mean, would the game have been massively affected one way or the other? I don't know. I mean, I think his assistant, when you have all those tools, man, being a coach is it's the best job in the world, because you're put in an environment where, yeah, of course you have to coach. You always have to lead the guys in the right way, but you have the most talented roster in Major League Soccer by a mile. I mean, maybe the LA Galaxy is up there with you, but outside of that, like, it's you and LA. Like, that's it. So that's a great place to be as a head coach. So I don't know if it necessarily massively affected the outcome of the game, but from a respect perspective, yeah, I mean, you decided to do your own thing. So anywhere from 1 to 3 games, but I do think there should be some sort of disciplinary action.
My take on this is, again, very, very similar to yours. Absolutely should be suspended. I think the audacity that he has to pull that nonsense in a game in which there's cameras showing, I don't care what the rule says. And clearly the rule says you can't do this. So I don't know why we're even having this conversation. We can call Miami the golden child. We can say that there's privilege, whatever you want to call it. I think that that's nonsense. I think that the league just does not want to bend over for some reason, and they should. We're seeing this in all across the leagues right now. We're seeing this in the NCAA, not putting the hammer down on Michigan. We can talk about that all day long, but there was no hammer being used. Why are we so afraid? Why are we so afraid to punish people? It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, I understand it, money, but these people all sign contracts. They all sign stuff. Is there a contract that they signed that says, don't you accept in this moment, because you're too valuable to us? No, we have players who get tossed out of games, who are the best players in the game, who get tossed out for targeting because at the moment that they were going to make contact, and there are obviously some moments where you can tell maybe it looks like they did it on purpose, but there are lots of moments where this is incidental. It's bang, bang play in football, and a player is going out of the game. Why are we even having this conversation? Don't even eject the coach then. Let him just call you whatever the hell you want to call him. I mean, who cares at that point? What kind of our example are we setting here that you can sit in the stands as a professional coach and call your assistant coach and give them instructions on the sideline? I mean, to be fair, I almost feel like he should have gone up to the press box, got on the scoreboard, and put all the messaging and all the different tactical stuff on the big screen. Make it more obvious. It's nonsense. That's why I feel like 3 games isn't enough. I feel like you just middle fingered the MLS and League Cups and said, screw you, I'm gonna do what I want to do. And I feel like because of that, it should be way more. But obviously the rules do state 1 to 3 games, so I would be happy with a 1 to 3 game suspension based on that. But you can't pull this shit. It's nonsense. He needs to be suspended, and that's my take. Don't forget, we got these nice salt bags, right? Right? They lock in the smell, right? And that makes sure, so this might work. This might work for anything, by the way, not necessarily just cleats. But either way, Salt Athletic, the official sponsor of our question of the day, and right there on your screen, use a promo code NSN15 to save 15% off of your order.
Gosh, I was waiting all day for that.
Nailed it.
Kelly's super excited about it. But hey, that wraps up our week here of Inside the Game. 143 officially in the book. We'll be back at it on Monday morning as we dive into episode 144, getting ever so closer to 150 and even closer to episode 200. It's hard to believe we've been doing this a long time, Nathan. It's 143 episodes, man, down and in the books.
Yeah, it's been long, but it's been rewarding, and it's cool to bring more people on and continue to do fun stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's we see our audience continuing to grow, which is good. Obviously, we've seen your guys' reception from what we've been putting up on social, but yeah, we just got to keep rolling, getting more people involved, getting more out in the community, which I think is great for us. I think it's great for the brand. I think it's great for the companies. So we appreciate all you guys stopping in every morning as always.
We do as well. And just before we go here off to break and end the show, breaking news from NISA. As NISA announces the broadcasting partnership with Premier Media Group for the 2025 Pro Cup. That has officially been announced on their website, and we'll break actually that news here in just a little bit on our platforms. But we are the official broadcast partner for NISA's Pro Cup here that's coming here October 15th.
Let's go. He's getting so better. Excited. He's getting better with the soundboard. I love it.
Oh, boy. Well, anyways, that wraps up our show. We'll be back with some more. We'll discuss this in further. I'll have Josh Taylor join me here maybe in about a half hour or so. We'll talk about this partnership, what it means for the game of soccer and NISA here in the Pro Cup coming October 15th here at the Michigan Stars Sports Complex in Washington Township. But for Nathan Wangler and Ryan Glinsky, I'm Jonathan Turner. You've been watching Inside the Game here on this Friday morning. We'll see you same time, same place on Monday right here on Inside the Game. From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.